Tobe.
Gotcha, good. You love the close-up and camera. I got her good. She loves the extreme zoom.
It's like a delayed April Fool's. You got me.
All right. I'm doing good, Jill. Thanks for asking.
Okay, let's
Here we
start
go.
over.
Back again.
Okay.
Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Outlawed in at least 3 states, but this one totally legal.
Oh my gosh, I don't know if it's the extra hours of daylight or what, but I've got that spring fever. Like I'm just
Oh,
chomping to get outside. I'm chomping to get out into nature and just
you
hit
got
the
buck fever.
trail.
That's what the hunters call it. You got buck fever. You're ready to go. I feel it too. Spring has sprung in all sorts of ways, and so we have enjoyed ourselves immensely out here in the blue sky of the
Mhm.
Olympic Peninsula. It was a beautiful day to get out and talk to new and exciting people. We'll talk to you about that here later.
Okay.
And the snow is a little bit, I can see them here from behind Manresa Castle, snow-capped mountains. It's beautiful, absolutely stunning spring April day.
Yeah. Still a little
Chat's
chilly
rolling in.
out. Still a little bit chilly. I mean, but I think we're here in the Pacific Northwest. I think that the tornado scare, the Great Pacific Northwest tornado scare is over, but sending a lot of like prayers and positive energy to people out east in Tennessee and that
Oh, I
whole
didn't know about
region.
this. What happened?
Oh, yeah, they're having some weather. There's some weather going on
Oh,
out east.
really?
Yeah.
Okay. I did not know that. Okay, so prayers for the
Oh,
East.
yeah, it's like
Okay.
tornado season, I guess. My Facebook feed is full of people posting like they're here we are huddled in the whatever their little safe zones are and stuff. So,
Well,
yeah.
I guess this is like the first 2 weeks where I haven't been checking in that way. So, I imagine there's probably been a lot of things I've missed. So, Marcia out that way, Arla, Daryl, Tanya Kordick, all these Southerners in the Tennessee range to northern Carolina, Georgia, all that. That seems like Kansas, Tornado Alley, right?
Something like that, but
Yeah.
nowadays it's you can roll the dice and you just don't know. I mean, we could be
Yeah.
spending our time worrying about the Cascadia quake, but we're here, we're in the here and now.
Hmm.
Let's focus onward.
Okay, I'm with you. I'm making note of some people here inside the chat. We got some new people making some comments here. As always, got
Hmm.
Patrick Noble and Gockett. I think that's a new name. Southern Belle Bigfoot. I wonder if you made a phone call the other day to Coast to Coast. We've had some interesting last 48 hours for sure. So, what's going on with you, Jill? What's the update? What's the word on the street?
Well, nicer weather is on the way. The days are getting longer, which means we have a lot more time to film. So the schedule is filling up fast. And April, May, and June are going to be some very aggressive and complicated filming schedules for the team. So yeah, I'm just gearing up and getting ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, people that don't know, it is a small stealth team that does all this, and pretty much you see most of those faces on this live show. Besides us, there's like three other people involved doing this, and you know, um, I help out where I can, but this is all kind of new, and I'm part of the supportive team, kind of pushing, positive energy where I can, and so.
Yeah, Mike's been on the bench, so we're hoping Mike has a speedier recovery and he can be back on his feet and filming with us soon. So
Yeah, Mike is kind of like, is he like half Tony Hawk right now. Does he have one of those knee skateboards where he kind of wheels on his knee?
He's got a scooter. He has a
Yeah.
scooter. Yeah.
Scoot, scoot.
But not like a rascal, like senior mobility scooter.
Mike, do you have a jitterbug too? Can I find you in the Winco parking lot trying to swing out of your gremlin?
Love it,
uh,
love it, love it. So where should we begin? Where I've got a list of things for us to
mhm.
talk about tonight, but should we start with the most recent, the most obvious place to start?
Very good place to start. Where'd you like to start?
I want to start with your most recent appearance or audio. How do you say that? Not appearance, your audio endeavor on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie.
Yeah. So Coast to Coast AM, April Fool's Night. That
Yes.
was ironic. I told the producer that. It's just like, is this on purpose? Who set me up? And he said, no, 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 no joking. Literally coming on. And I think I'd done it once before with Brett. I don't think I'd ever done it solo.
No,
And
you
that
guys
was
were both on there a couple times. Yeah.
with George Knapp and maybe one other host, but I'd never done a solo op. I'd never been asked to do anything solo, because we've been a team. But somehow, some way, they got desperate enough to need me, and so I was like, okay. And boy, my life has been in transition, and these liminal periods, Jill, these places in between two worlds, these liminal states. We've talked about this before, but this is where the good shit happens, right? Like it's really bad in a lot of cases here, but if you're into synchronicity, come on. I mean, you have an interview coming up with the king of synchronicity, and that's his wheelhouse. And he could talk at length about synchronicities in liminal spaces. So I'm in the middle of a liminal part of my life. Hence, I find myself in a haunted castle. So life is up in the air right now, but in a good way. And we just released a video. I get in a little bit to it in the video, and that comes out for members today or yesterday, and then it'll be live tomorrow. And we'll talk more about that in length. But on Coast to Coast, we didn't talk about Olympic Strange Days or these groovy patches that Nancy Fry made that are also Velcro. You can find them at olympicstrangedays.com. They're awesome. $20, best $20 you'll spend. But we talked about A Flash of Beauty, and we talked about the Al Moon Lab with George Norrie for 2 hours, right? So if you had a chance to listen to it from 12 a.m. to 2, there I found myself outside of a feed store because that's where the best Wi-Fi is, with 3 headlamps and a Gatorade container just in case. So let your imagination run wild. And
Oh.
I had an accident, but we took care of it off air. Anyway, so George and I were talking. He didn't know. He didn't know. He didn't know at all. So George and I are going back and forth about what exactly needed to happen as far as understanding this phenomena from a fresh perspective. And it really is not a fresh perspective. It's the perspective of the forefathers, Tom Powell, Franzoni, gosh, I want to say some other names here. Lee Trippett. There's a name nobody really knows about, but go look up Lee Trippett and his use of looking into Tesla, Nikola Tesla, before Henry Franzoni did, as it being related to the work that Simeon Hein is looking into, the basic building blocks of evolution bifurcated at a point in time, and these relic neutrinos or ball lightning or free energy and vibrational states evolved into something alien, let's say. And then there's us, the flesh and blood. But we can do it too. We can have the rainbow body and be a light formation as well. I mean, if you look at the Shroud of Turin, there's your proof. So this is what we got into, as much as I could do within a 23-minute block with George Norrie. A lot of commercial breaks, Jill.
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly about sea crane radios and a lot of multivitamin talk, a lot of vitamin talk going
Nori
on.
Super Beats.
Super beat. And what's the love site? Alien
Oh,
Connect, or like
Paradate, yeah, paradate.com.
Paranormal Date. Paranormal,
Paranormal
yeah.
Date.
Yeah, find your significant other on the craft or down on earth. We'll bring you together in the stars or something like that.
And they were really pushing the senior community on that paranormal dating site. I don't know
I
if you
heard
caught
some
that
shaky
or not.
voices going, I found her to be the most compelling witness I'd ever kissed before. And the way she described the Yeti was something tantamount to falling in love all over again. So it was a fun night. I mean, going to 2 in the morning in front of a feed store in a rainstorm. I mean, it was pouring rain, and I don't think you could pick it up with these snazzy Beats by Dre. Um, but you can go find it. There's a 30-minute episode you can download. I think you can download it on YouTube if you want to. You've heard my story before, but the real point was is that I wanted to do justice to the A Flash of Beauty doc because George didn't know about it. I don't think he's had a chance to watch it yet, and we don't have money to push this documentary. We don't have an ad campaign. We don't have a marketing director. We don't have a
I'm the
lot.
marketing director.
Exactly. I mean, you know what I mean? But you
Yeah,
am wearing a million hats
yeah.
to the point where we can't focus in like, oh, we're going to hit this network and this demographic. And it's something that I'm working on, hopefully in the future, to try to help happen for the doc for the future. But anyway, so that was the main point of it for me. Not so much to talk about my half-assed book or to talk about what was going on with the Al Moon Lab all those years ago. Because for the most part, I don't really like going down to Oregon. I mean, let that be known that I don't like Oregon. I actually feel like I have bad luck when I cross the Vancouver Bridge. And so when I go down to Oregon, I like to go the old-fashioned way off the I-5 corridor. I hate the Wilsonville down to Eugene area. For me, the Al Moon Lab is a story that happened, and I'm not trying to reawaken it at all. I'm looking for new adventures up here in the Olympic Peninsula, and so those are unfolding to the degree where I never imagined the world would open up like this as far as the supernatural and Bigfoot. But it is absolutely embracing my microphone, my GoPro, my schedule. It's just like, yeah, and this is happening tomorrow, and then tomorrow we're doing this. So we'll talk about that more in the future here. But
Sure.
anyway, coast to coast, AM. Thank you, George Norrie. Thank you, Tom. And I look forward to maybe you talking to a special guest here in the fall related to Bigfoot that we want to present to the world.
Yeah, and I have to say, listening in, it was, you guys, if you haven't had a chance, if you weren't able to listen the other night, do yourself a favor. Tobe was on point. It was great. And I just your interaction with George Norrie is almost like you're sitting around a campfire. The way you engage.
Really?
Now, George, that's great. Let me tell you, George.
I
You're just
like saying his name because it rolls off the tongue, and he's probably of the same age of the other Georges I know, and so it's just like we were kind of like vibing. I didn't expect that, but there was a sense of like, hey, we could actually be barbecue buddies or something. I don't know if that's a thing, but it should be. You should all have a barbecue buddy.
maybe we can. I'll add that to my list. George
Okay,
Norrie barbecue, and
barbecue bud.
who knows? He might show
Yeah.
up. Now it was kind of fun though because I did. Brett and I were cracking up because right out of the gate we remembered a couple of the callers who called in.
Oh,
The
sure.
gentleman from East Texas who wanted to know, who's said that he's decoded and
Oh, the
translated.
translation guy for the Sierra
So
sounds.
yeah, so we're like, oh yeah, him. But also our good friend Cornelius in Louisiana who called, who sounded almost like he was like the travel, like the tourism coordinator for Alexandria, Louisiana. He had reached out to us gosh, after you guys were on Coast to Coast the first time back in 2022. And me being diligent and following up like I do, I reached out. I gave him a call, and we talked all about, the Bigfoot situation going on in Louisiana and all the other stuff down there. So it's definitely, we'll have to figure out a way to get down there in the future. But it's just fun, when you hear people calling in that you're like, oh, I know that guy. Oh, him. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. There is no talk of the Rougarou. I was expecting Rougarou to come up. I was like, oh, this is going to get into Rougarou. But no one brought it up. Instead, it was like the Honey Island swamp monster and the skunk ape and, a lot of Bigfoot talk, but no swamp creature or no Rougarou talk.
not yet. Just wait.
Not yet.
It's
Womp
coming.
womp. Yeah.
Well, do we want to get into Olympics, the latest episode of Olympic Strange Days that went
Well,
live?
yeah. Let's talk about that because
A little bit different than usual.
right. So since life is in flux, I was on the road for a period of like 2 weekends in a row or 2 weeks, and so that couldn't be helped. As honestly, I was wondering like, is it going to work out up here? And so I'm fighting for it, and it's going to work out. Like I have an awesome establishment right now that's being created for me, including this amazing Manresa Castle. Um, but we did an episode while I was down in my old stomping grounds, home of Steve Prefontaine and Nike, Eugene, Oregon. The original hippies are all from there, like the good hippies. Back in the day, I was all raised up by the Kinkeezy hippies, and they're still there vibing. And so I went to the Whitaker area, and I sat down at Sweet Life Patisserie, and I waited for my fuel pump to get put in because I had some car trouble, and I know, Crimea River. And so there I was, and I thought, gosh, I got to interview somebody while I'm down here. And a name came to mind, and his name is Michael Beavers. And Michael is salt of the earth guy. Like he does distribution and marketing for all the 7-Elevens in Eugene and Springfield. So he's just a man about, working all the 7-Elevens. I'm like, well, maybe I can reach him like in between a 7-Eleven, whatever he's doing. He can stop by and we can just talk about that moment he saw a giant triangle in the sky. And so we talk about this UFO that he saw over Springfield. And, it's the usual format of walk and talk, shoving a GoPro in his face, having him describe. And I had a limited amount of time. So we had maybe a 15-minute interview. And I like to make these under 30 minutes or maybe an hour. But usually I like to make them 30 minutes because that's what the kids want, Jill. They don't want to stick around for that whole hour. And so I was like, we got to slide something in. Well, I've been holding on to a banger. I don't know if you had a chance to see the video I put in between Beaver's walk and talk, but nobody except a few people in Eugene, Springfield, Oregon have seen this video.
Oh, really?
No, this has never been released. And so I interviewed this guy on Restream about 3 months ago, and he was not reluctant at all. He was just like, yeah, I don't understand why people don't want to talk about this. And I was like, well, I sure do. And I was like, you shot that up front of Wakeman's Auto Parts in Springfield, Oregon, down from Club 411 and Phil's Dance Club. I know exactly where you shot this. And he's like, yep, I got a new iPhone. I'm walking my pit bull and my girlfriend, past the Simpson mural. And I look up and there I see it. And I was like, let's roll it. So kids, imagine 4.5 minutes of UAP goodness, like extraordinary UFO activity for 4.5 minutes in the summer sky. Like the sun's just setting. And I know where he's looking. He's looking over Mount Pisgah and Pleasant Hill, Deer Park Meadow near Pleasant Hill, Oregon. Cam Haynes runs that mountain all the time. And this thing is booking. And it appears like a purple streak of light with a ball attached to it. So if you want to say comet, think comet. But this thing stops midair and it separates into two balls. And I don't know if you're listening there, Brett, but as an operator of said high dollar drones, I don't know of anything that move like this or separates like this, let alone that seem to be watching him. And why do I think this thing was watching him from probably over a mile away, going over 200 miles an hour? Because this thing does something around the 3.5 minute mark that tells me that it knew it had a camera on it. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Um, and I've heard that before from people. It's just like this thing was pretending it was something else because it knew it was
Mhm.
being watched for whatever reason. And I think it was pretending to be something else. So I'm just telling you, I think this is maybe one of the most incredible. And listen, we just debunked a bunch of stuff. I don't care. Like, if you can debunk this, I want to know what kind of crazy drone this is. This isn't sky phenomena. This isn't from, it's maybe from Zeta Reticuli, but it ain't from Elon. This ain't an Elon space rocket. So, maybe it is Elon. In fact, maybe it's freaking Elon. Now I think about it, it could have been Elon. So I don't know. Watch it. It comes out tomorrow. What time, Jill?
I think we're gonna be dropping it in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Well, check it out. It's up there. And I'd love to hear you comment below what you think this is. And comment, of course, about Beaver's stuff too, because listen, we talk about something with Michael Beavers that I didn't want to be a liability to channel, but I was just like, we got to talk about this, Michael. Like, you had something profound happen to you up in the Al Moon lab, his first Bigfoot trip ever, like last year. And what happened was dark. Like,
mhm.
Tara Harris kind of like warned us, like, hey, eventually something's going to happen up there. Well, it did to him, and his had his daughter with him. And so we get into
Yeah.
that, and we kind of have to bleep it and let your imagination roll. But anyway, I won't get into the particulars. You can ask me at a conference sometime, but it's incredible.
And we needed a video like this though. It serves as a public service announcement of sorts. It's a PSA
I
for
agree.
people going out in the woods. So I'll
Yeah,
leave it at
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah.
I'll leave it at
Okay,
that.
leave it at that. Leave it at that. So that's what's going on with the channel. The other thing I'll just get out of the way. Do you want to talk about what happened today, or do you want to get into the latest video that dropped?
Well, let's talk about Southern Strangeness.
Okay.
Our most recent video with Adam and Mark.
Yeah. Well, in all honesty, because of the transitional point here, I haven't fully invested enough time to be of help here. So this is just me being blunt. I'm always dialed in with the channel as much as I can possibly be. But can I circle back here next
You
week
get a
and
free
chime in
pass.
on this?
You get a free pass.
Okay.
And
Okay. I just wanted
let me
people to, I'm not going to make up stuff. I'm not going to pull a full on just like, oh, wasn't it incredible? No, I'm not going to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you can ask questions. I'll tell you that much. But
Okay.
so yeah, this was the video, and I want everyone to know. How do I even say this? It was about an hour long. It's 55 minutes, which is a decent length, I think, for a video. It's kind of a 2-for-1 type interview situation. We had the most amazing walk and talk through the woods where Adam was telling us, like, kind of pointing out stories and experiences he's had back there. And then Mark was, sharing his insights and whatnot. We lost a good portion of the audio. The audio cut out. So there were some phenomenal stories that got lost
Oh,
in that respect. I
oh.
don't know if there's anything we can do to salvage or if it just completely cut out, but it
I
pains
know that
me.
pain.
It
If you
pains
can't
me.
monitor your audio directly as it's happening, it's very scary. So I imagine something like this occurred where you can't monitor it in real time.
And that's just when Mike's not with us, this is what
Yes.
happens because then Brett's, trying to film, trying to monitor audio. I'm trying to stay out of the way, but also kind of ask questions and like guide the conversation a little bit. But so there were some key points that weren't left in. Adam had there's a whole situation about there's dogs on the property, and some of the interactions with the dogs and whatnot, but also walking back, getting back to where this spot is in the forest on the property. There's like a camper that had been parked um, kind of at the back of the property, and it looked like a tornado had just gone over it or something. The way it was, I can't even begin to describe. It's almost like the side had been ripped off, and there was some, it was like twisted and whatnot. And Adam's like, yeah, this all happened in a matter of like overnight. And he pointed out, he's like, yeah, there was a microwave up in the tree here, like a full size microwave that was like stuck up in the tree. And this is a spot where, look, if you were in the Portland metro area, I could give you some pretty good ideas of who might have done this. But no, this isn't an area where people are just going to be coming through causing mayhem like that. And the fact that it happened in the same way, it's almost like there's, I don't want to say a trackway, but there's almost like a trail, a pathway
I
where,
just want to get something straight for anybody that's tuning in and they heard microwave. They're picturing like energy, like microwave energy or like a microwave dish.
a
You
microwave
mean like
oven.
what I put my Reese's burritos in? You mean
Yes,
like the top ramen warmer? Okay,
yes, a
a
microwave
microwave
oven. Yeah,
in the tree.
yeah, like up
Okay.
in the tree. And he's just like, well, that's weird. Um, so yeah, there was some stuff lost, but even just yesterday, Adam was sending photos, and he's like, look at this and tell me what you see. And it's like, well, I see this beam of light, but I also, there's something in the light. I don't know what, you can pick up something that's there. And even, like when Brett takes an interest in a photo, like, and he says, oh, send it to me. Let me see what I can do.
Right.
He's picking up on something, but he also sent a photo, like, of, I'm going to say a creature, just because I don't know what it is, up in the tree. And
Right.
if you ask me, it looks like, I'm going to sound crazy, like a black German Shepherdy type thing up in a tree. Some sort of strange creature. So he's definitely, the activity continues. But man, there was a something. There was an energy out there. And I know Brett and I are eager to get back out there.
Well, and the way you guys shot it, I had a chance to get in 15 minutes of this. This is like a little flash of beauty. Like this is like a really beautifully shot episode. And there's something that happens with the witness when you walk with them that doesn't happen when you're sitting. Their mind opens up. They get this neuroplasticity. They begin to trust you more because now they're leading to interesting areas, and those interesting areas they're familiar with just like they are with their mind. And
Mm-hmm.
so it frees up this jargon to where the trust that opens up, I've noticed. And so is
Mm-hmm.
that what you're finding?
Yeah, and there was just so much more, like, between like what Mark had to say and what, yeah, there was just so much more that I just wish we could have captured that. But it was really eye opening. Again, like when we
Mm.
started A Flash of Beauty, when we heard from Amy Boo that there were Bigfoot in Ohio, and I was just like, "What? Really?"
That's
That
the
was all
biggest
new to
that's
me.
the biggest UF or Bigfoot festival on planet Earth.
Well, I wasn't in the loop at the time,
Yeah.
but then the same
Geez,
thing.
Jill.
Oh. But then even like going out to Oklahoma and meeting with Arla, because we're thinking, where are there going to be Bigfoot in Oklahoma? This makes no sense. And then once we got out there, we're like, oh, they could be anywhere. But
Right.
but then same thing in Alabama. We're like, what? This is doesn't make sense. And of course, we're like, oh, yeah, we get it. We get it. So if anything, it was a good reminder that there's plenty of forest to explore. There's a lot of
Well,
places
like I
to go.
said, this is like a mini doc, almost. Right. I mean, it should be released as a mini doc, really. It's incredible, and I've yet to watch the whole thing yet, but I want to circle back to this, and I would just save space for me next week to get into this a little bit more because it looked way too good to not write copious notes down about. So I apologize regarding that. But moving on here, someone called me the Baker City Backstreet Boys, and if
Yes.
that's like AJ McLean territory, that was my favorite. I think he was a Backstreet Boy. They all had the Tony Robbins slash microphone.
Oh, yes.
So maybe I need that. I need a motivational speaker microphone when I do the lives, and my Robert Stack raincoat, which will be making an appearance, and I will be walking out of a fog machine. This is going to happen. So Brett, I'm getting
We
you one too, bro.
we have a fog machine, just so you know.
Yes,
We have a fog
life is
machine. So,
complete. Yes.
yeah. We will
Huh.
incorporate that into more
Yes.
productions.
And look at that. And this got you $10.
Thank you,
Someone
Renee.
and Brett, that is your goodwill money for your matching London fog. I expect no less. Bright pink, ladies cut.
Perfect. Well,
Um,
we can always circle back. Uh, we can circle back next week, and you can chime in on Adam and Mark's. And if you haven't seen it, go
yeah,
ahead and check it out. It's called Southern Strangeness, and I think this is just the beginning of some Flash of Beauty videos down south.
I feel the same way about everything. Um, yeah, so gosh, there's so much to get into with people that are having opportunities come their way. And like spring has sprung and people have a spring in their step now in a different new way. It's exciting. Um, and there's an opportunity showing up right now for James Zupsky. And you may be hearing more from him on these live streams. So just pay attention for that. James has been invited into the world of Dave Schrader, who's pretty much known as a radio show host. Like I remember being a truck driver and listening to his show, and we were on his show a couple times actually. And he was at Phenomicon, and we got to know each other's personalities there. And so Dave has a new show called Outer Edge. Don't know if it's on Travel Channel.
I think
Dave
so.
Schrader,
Yeah.
you recognize him. He kind of looks like, he's got a crystal ball head and he looks like a bouncer, but he's like super funny. Like he's known as like the sarcastic, funny guy in the paranormal world. Um, and now he's full on like TV, Josh Gates style. I guess that's the
Yes.
best way to put it. Investigating the outer edge. And James is right at the outer edge with the Klickitat Ape Cat and running his museum there. And if you haven't seen his museum, have you guys filmed at the museum yet?
Yeah, yeah. We released his interview
Okay.
about a month ago, I think.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, we have James. I don't remember you walking in the store and like shooting like did you shoot like the exhibits and all that?
We we filmed the exhibit with the Bigfoot. Yeah,
Right. Yeah. What's the name is like Harvey or Harry. I can't remember the name of the Bigfoot. But so James is just one of the guests on this Outer Edge show. The other faces I didn't really recognize, but I think they all have their own individual thing going on. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think the date for that is next month sometime. It's probably going
Ooh,
to be a weekly show, like first season every week. Catch Outer Edge with Dave Schrader and a familiar Flash of Beauty voice, James Zupsky.
very cool.
It is very cool, Jill. Um, and I don't know why I have Patch Adams written on my paper here. Go see Patch Adams with Robin Williams.
Right before we went live, you were like, "Oh, ooh, Patch Adams," and I was
Oh,
like,
okay.
"Is
Oh,
that?"
I'm sorry. I got to mention, so Nancy Fry, I just got to mention these. Like, we need to do a Flash of Beauty one, Jill. Really,
Ooh,
like a
yeah.
paranormal version of this. This is rubber embossed, like I think this is like,
Like this big?
yes, like something like that, but imagine it like raised rubber with
Yeah.
like a recon Velcro patch here, and you didn't even have to sew this on, gang. This is like a really sticky tape. So these are this is all through Nancy's brain, and you can catch those over at olympicstrangedays.com for 20 bucks. If you wear one on camera and take a picture, you get a chance to be entered into the lottery in October and get a free ticket next year. Just have to send us a picture on Facebook or however we do that, and we'll put it online. Um, but I wanted to mention something here too, Jill. I had a talk with one of, well, someone called in to Coast AM, and it happened like the last 30 minutes. And I was like, God, why do I recognize this voice? And why does he sound so familiar to me? Like, is he my buddy? Or, and I think he just said David. Well, so David, in my world, there's only like a couple Davids that I know, but David Johnson is like the invite of all invites that took us into the high Sierras. And so Warren Lewis and his dad, what was his dad's name?
His dad's Warren
Okay,
Johnson, and then
Warren
Lewis
Johnson.
Johnson.
Okay, Lewis
Yeah.
Johnson and Warren. Yeah, and so they took their nephew and his son up into the woods, and so with Rhonda Moorhead and David Johnson, there could be no mystery too big in the Sierra camp. And so just imagine like a Brady Bunch situation of kids getting into mischief in the high Sierras at 9,000 feet, and a little bit of this going on all around. By the way, thank you, Cliff Barrickman. Go check out the NABC. Um, and so David may be a part of Olympic Strange Days. We're working out the details. I think it's going to happen. There's been some cancellations, at least two, of people that have been called to Okinawa and called to different sanctions of life. And so we're filling in those voids with a real primo. Um, Also, if you don't know who Greg Reese is, go look up the Reese reports on Substack. Um, he's a big fan of A Flash of Beauty,
Really?
and he talked about it in a Bigfoot documentary on Substack. And he has showed interest for dropping everything and showing up in the Olympics to listen and learn and to possibly talk. And if we can get Greg Reese out there, it's just such a big get. To me, I get goosebumps thinking this guy's going to be out there because he's doing stuff from the ground up. Like he just grabbed a camera and now he has the Reese report, and that would be really cool. So those are things that are happening now. The other thing I wanted to mention real quick is that Area 58 Museum, where we'll be speaking in the future at the Sasquatch Summerfest coming out in mid-July. Go to sasquatchsummerfest.com. This is a growing speaker lineup, and Ron Moorhead just signed up. So if you bought a ticket right now, you would lock in your chance to see one of the four horsemen of this whole Bigfoot affair live on stage in Bigfoot country, my backyard, really, in the old days, Oak Ridge, Oregon. It's actually the banana belt. So if it's raining in Eugene, chances are in Oak Ridge, it ain't. It's just a really beautiful, sunny place right off Highway 58. Ron Moorhead, live and in the flesh, along with, gosh, we've got two others. Why their names slipping my mind? I should have the speaker lineup with me. Go check out the speaker lineup. I'll be hosting the whole thing, wearing a Hawaiian shirt, keeping people loose. There may be a rave. I told there might be a Bigfoot rave. And if you've never been to a Bigfoot rave, well, just imagine it in your mind what what a group of like 65-year-old Bigfooters are going to do at a rave. And
They all
that
have
would be like the
whistles.
that's at the after show. A lot of pacifiers and baggy pants and plaster. So I don't know. I didn't bring it up, but I vouch for anything crazy like that. And
Okay.
there we have some surprises coming, including this Area 58 museum, which you can go check that out. They're definitely putting out content constantly, and they're getting into it. They're leaning into the world of Bigfoot, and they're huge fans. Priscilla and her dad, Ronnie, and her husband, Steve, are huge proponents and fans of this YouTube channel. In fact, I think she might be on here. I think Priscilla, I think I saw it earlier. So
Priscilla,
check it
where
out.
are you? Are you in the chat?
It might be Jackie Barnes, I think, was up there talking about Sasquatch with Priscilla on the camera. Jeff Rohn, of course, a big help to the Area 58 lifestyle. Did you know it's a lifestyle now? It's a culture.
I
And,
thought you say a cult.
not too far from Area 58 is a place called Hellhole. Okay, and above Hellhole, it got its name for a reason. You can't find it. You kind of need a guide to get in there. But down from Hellhole is Skookum Creek. And where did T-Dog see the lights? He saw them at Skookum Creek. And everything changed after that night. We actually got him on camera. It's one of the only photos I have of the lights on like a Canon Rebel camera coming down below the high pine trees, almost down to 30 feet off the ground, but mostly at treetop, like Christmas. And this was mid-July or something. So it's a super interesting area. Check it out. And that's coming up mid-July at Sasquatch Summerfest. Where are we at here on the time? Oh, we're getting close to the 15-minute mark before blah, blah, blah. Anything that you want to talk about, Jill, before I blabber on?
No, but I did have a question. So when you're just talking about the lights at Skookum Creek, now I remember last year at Sasquatch Summerfest, there was a group of, they must have been locals or at least people familiar with the area. It seems like all you guys were all talking about there was this one area, maybe it was Skookum Creek, that there was a lot of activity and weird stuff and high strangeness. Was that it? Okay. Were you there when
That's a
the other
Yeah,
local
so
people were
that
talking?
area is Ronnie Roseman's baby. So Ronnie is Ronnie was really good friends with Peter Byrne. Like when Peter was out doing his thing in Bluff Creek, right after that, Ronnie Roseman came into, and Ronnie is Priscilla's dad. They live in a haunted church in Oak Ridge. They have an incredible life, and so Ronnie's always available at Area 58 Museum to talk to. Like he's a big deal. He'll tell you that right out of the gate. And so it's a lot of fun. They're a fun family. It's a fun
Definitely.
place.
Yeah.
It's got Twin Peaks vibes for sure. In
Yes.
fact, it used to have a paper called the Dead Mountain Echo, and the mayor had like 7 fingers. And it's just like, oh my gosh, I want to be here so bad all the time. So Oak Ridge, go check it out. So the other thing I wanted to mention too is what happened today. And like I said, these liminal spaces, Jill, tend to hand you lemons and lemonade. And so usually you get the lemons, just like, okay, I'm going to have lemons for how long? Well, today it was lemonade. It's been lemonade actually for quite a while here. And today we had an interview with a witness. Now I needed a bed. Like I needed like a real bed. I was in kind of like a bedless situation. But I've slept in hammocks, I've slept in cars. I'm just a guy, a vagabond, a hobo, if you will, knapsack in hand, train out in the distance. That's my jam, like daddy, like son. So here I am looking for a bed, and I find a free one on frickin' Bainbridge Island. Do you know what Bainbridge Island is known for? It's
No.
known for like Laurelhurst style mansions, right? Like Peacock Park area, like that
Oh, okay.
area in
Okay.
Portland. Like this is
Hoity
where
toity.
Inslee lives, right? Like this is Governor's Island. This is the island, Bainbridge Island. And there's a free bed. So I know it's going to be a good one. I'm like, yes, I'm going in my Honda and I'm going to strap it somehow. So I get out to this abandoned cabin and it's awesome. It's like in a cedar grove. It's just what I expected. And there's a guy standing there and he's just like, come on, see the bed? And I was like, yeah. And it's like a $2,000 like giant mattress with no box spring. They don't do box springs. Rich people don't do box springs. They don't do towels in the shower and they don't do box springs. That's poor people stuff. You get yourself a big giant $2,000 mattress and a flat frame. In this case, a really well-made, not IKEA chipboard stuff. And so it's free. I'm just ecstatic still over this. And so we get it. It took some doing to get it on there, and he showed me how to do a trucker's hitch, which I'd forgotten. Everybody online, learn how to do a trucker's knot. It'll save your life, especially when you're trying to get a new bed home. And so there we go. We're loading it up, and he's showing me trucker's hitch, and he's just like, "So what are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I've got this little Bigfoot thing I'm doing. I'm trying. I'm pushing along here, and I got a business card, and I'm showing him Flash of Beauty stuff. And I'm giving him a card, and he's just like, "You don't say." And I was like, "Oh, we got to talk. What do you mean you don't say?" Because I knew something was coming. You don't say when you don't have something to say. He has something to say. And I was like, "What do you got to say?" He's like, "Oh, well, I didn't see a Bigfoot, but my friend saw something in the Sequoia National Forest." And I was like, "You mean NorCal?" And he goes, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." It's just like he was hiking up there. He's a hunter. He's my old hunting friend. And
No, Tobe, you
what do you
froze.
mean? Like
Tobe,
an upright? I hear a static
Tobe,
sound.
I need you to pause and go back to
Hold
the
on.
part where he was hiking.
I hear a static sound. Hold on.
Are you back? What's going on?
On here.
Just when the story's getting good, this always happens. Ah. Well, it wouldn't be a show about cryptids and the paranormal without some technical difficulties. That gives me a chance to look through the comments here. Say hi to everyone. I've been kind of with the side eye following this Bjork conversation. Tobe, if you are with us, blink twice. No, okay. So we'll just wait for Tobe to log back in. Actually, hey Brett, I don't know if you addressed this. Do we still have that Bjork friend of a friend? Is that still a thing? Let's see here. Now I'm looking at upstate New York. Wouldn't mind going back. Well, doggone it, Tobe. He's been teasing all day about this amazing interaction he had. He's like, I'll get into it on the show. So, and it took a lot of self-control not to pester him all day and just find out ahead of time. So I don't know if this is the universe testing me and trying to teach me about being patient and going with the flow. I don't know. How am I doing? Not so great. And now everyone's texting me, but not Tobe. Oh, here he is. Okay, take two.
Okay, let's try this again. I moved mics. Can you hear me?
Yes. So you were talking about this guy, his friend, his hunting buddy. He's out, he's on the trail, and then you left me on a cliffhanger. I need to hear the rest of the story.
Well, so I moved locations here to our future Spirit Connection Hall, which I'll talk about here in a second, at Manresa Castle. This is an incredibly haunted part of this area near the reception desk, shadow figures and such. And anyway, so the story goes, this witness, listen, he has a photograph of what he saw. And it is nothing else other than an upright 7 or 8 foot tall, not Bigfoot. Doesn't have the proportions. And we talked for this guy for over 2 hours, got him on, well, we didn't get him on video because he's a known presence on Bainbridge, but he did use his first name and he did give us the photo. He said, use it. And I said, gosh darn it. Like, I've seen this photo once before. I said, had it been leaked? He goes, yeah, but nobody's ever known who taken it. And I'm ready to tell people who took that photo. And so I've seen it once, I think. But listen, this guy, there's more to this story we can't talk about yet I tried to get him to talk about this other part of the story besides he heard this thing. That's what alerted him. And although he didn't get the audio, the way he described it and the photo that he got while he heard it, because he was taking a different picture. I don't want to give too much away, but what he got and what he saw with his eyes, um, what we're going to talk about next week, I can't think of more synchronicity, Jill. Like, I didn't plan this. Like, how do these two things line up for next week? That's crazy.
Okay, so I gotta let uh, our viewers know what's going on next week. So every so often, well, maybe I've done it a few times in the community, the post section. I'll do surveys or like, what should we talk about? What should we get beyond Bigfoot? And even just going through the comments on videos, a lot of people are asking us to start covering Dogman stories. Uh, kind of opening up our cryptid point of view, I guess. And just by happenstance, there's a whole story to it that I'll fill you guys in on next week. But
Mm,
we will be having a special guest that you may have heard of if you're familiar with Dogman Encounters.
mm.
A gentleman by the name of Matt Emsch will be joining us on the live stream. And I think there's some serious synchronicity going on.
She just gave you the name. Now you have a mission. You need to go find out what he said on YouTube. It's related to what I talked about. Listen, I didn't expect to talk about these things. Dogman, just like one of my favorite horror movies is Silver Bullet, with
Ooh.
Stephen King and a young Corey Haim in a wheelchair and like a priest with a secret. And there was a fireworks scene with like a bottle rocket. Oh my gosh. Like I grew up with the tale of that in my mind, like the image of a werewolf. This is what we're talking about, Jill. We're talking about these things being seen and out here
Yeah.
in the Pacific Northwest. I mean, Northern California is like one of the most stunning areas ever. Matt's area is so unexpected in his story that's totally different than what this other guy described. It's one of the most horrific. I don't even know how you can tell the story because I mean the other guys don't. We won't say too much, but there's other people involved. He's the only one really talking about. He's kind of like the Travis Walton of like Dogman stories.
That's a great comparison. I'm going to say that too.
There you go.
I'm gonna say you're like the Travis Walton of. I've got to write that down. Travis
Mm-hmm.
Walton.
Oh, and guess what? Travis Walton looks like he hasn't aged a day in his life. So Matt, maybe the fountain you seen with these little boogers. You know what I mean? Dog years counting in human years backwards. I don't know how it would work, but um, listen, I'm so anxious to talk about what's next after this video drops, and it's going to involve all of you watching this, and we'll get into that more. But this is not the end of this witness, and this is not the end of the story. And after this gets released, um, there's going to be a lot of comments about it. Now, you never meet this guy. Matt, you meet all the time. He's everywhere. He's on YouTube. EMCH, right? Matt Imch. There's one interview he does with a guy that's in spooky lighting with like an orange
Oh,
beard.
yeah. And well, Matt has his own YouTube channel, Planet
Oh,
412. So if you're not familiar with Matt's story, look up his channel, Planet 412,
okay.
and just get familiar with him. It's If you haven't heard it, you're in for a wild ride.
Okay. So more on that. That's coming next week. In the few minutes that we have left here, Jill, can we give a quick tour of this incredible establishment that we're going to be starting on May 3rd, 7 to close, in the bar that I was just at that had bad internet, spotty internet. And we're going to be interviewing a live guest, a special guest, May 3rd, every first Saturday of the month up here in Port Townsend at Manresa Castle. And This is kind of a dark room. Let's see if we can get a light in here. Now, this used to be the monastery. So what you're looking at here.
Oh, we're losing you, Tobe.
Can you hear me?
You're cutting out.
Okay.
I think your reception. See, is these walk and talks, as
So
engaging as they are.
maybe we can come inside the tea foyer. So one of the main of this place is Mr. Eisenbeis. He's the guy that had built this castle. It turns out like in 1860 some, at least the story, unless it's.
Hey, Tobe, I think we're going to need you to stand still with a tinfoil hat just so we can hear what you have to say. Maybe, you know what? Maybe this is a situation where you can film a tour for us to give us the full show.
Yeah.
I just don't want to lose
Well, here,
you.
now you can see my
Don't lose
boudoir.
you.
Yeah, we're not going to lose each. Don't lose it. So we'll stay put. But anyway, this is where we'll be. It's a lot of fun living here. I'm 10 minutes down the road in a cabin in Bigfoot territory. I couldn't ask for anything better. And so what's the point of that? You know what I mean? If things fit together and mesh, all of a sudden, you're probably on the right path. And if they don't, you're probably not. And so that's my life lesson for everybody.
Oh, hey, thanks, Jim. We just got a 10 Australian dollar show of support from down under. Thank you very much. I love it when the Australians are in the chat.
And Nancy Fry bringing up a comment here that indeed this castle is laced with plaster, but indeed it was a brick castle at one time, all brick. In fact, all the ancient old buildings circa 1850 were all done with a certain style of brick. You know, not just regular brick. Some of them seem to all come from a specific factory, and they all seem to have it. So how's that possible? So this is one of those mysterious places here. A lot of ghost activity. After the live show, we're going to be doing some interesting stuff. So you'll want to stick around for that as well. I don't know if that will be on camera, but anyway, Baker City, you know what I mean, ×2 out here in Port Townsend. A lot of fun.
Awesome. And can we tell everyone what's going on next week at Mount Hood?
Oh, yeah. Well, let's bring this up here. So Mount Hood coming up April 11th through the 13th. We're going to be on hand, especially Brett and Jill. On Saturday morning, there's going to be a premiere and talk about A Flash of Beauty. And they're going to be on hand to answer and ask questions to a packed audience. This is a beautiful facility. Like, this is probably one of the most beautiful places you could be this time of year, talking about Bigfoot underneath Mount Hood, where that extraordinary recreation Peter Byrne shot with Unsolved Mysteries. This is it. This is like where it happened. So that's pretty ironic. That's going to be there. Go to Mount Hood Resorts to get your ticket and buy it early. There may be a discount involved. You got big names here. I mean, anytime you invite Meldrum, the crowd is going to come. And so expect, you know, like really big audience for this baby. So that's coming up, and we intend to be there and represent.
Yeah, so Brett and I will be there, like you said, Saturday morning to introduce the movie, do any sort of Q&A, say hi to everyone. It's also our wedding anniversary on April 12th. And I don't know what says solidarity and security and strength in a marriage than showing up at a Bigfoot conference together in good spirits.
Well, that's great. That's fantastic. How many years?
It'll be 22.
I mean, come on.
I was a child bride.
Oh my gosh.
Just kidding.
Brett, you old dog, you. I know. Anyways, That's awesome. 22 years. Well, congratulations. That's next to impossible to find someone you love that deeply, and 22 years only happens when that's the case. And I see it all the time with you guys because I'm on the road. Yeah.
Perfect. So if you see us swing by, we'll have Tobe, since we won't be there for the full weekend, we're gonna get you set up with all of our Flash of Beauty shirts, sweatshirts, and we got these
Okay.
really awesome tote bags that I think when people see them, they'll say, I need that. So
Okay.
we're gonna
Nice.
have
Because you go to Trader Joe's, have your Flash of Beauty tote kind of deal,
start a conversation.
start a conversation. There you go.
That's what I need to be doing. I need to be using that bag for Trader Joe's and other like miscellaneous places that always
Yeah.
tag me for buying a bag. So thank you
Love
for
it.
the reminder.
Well, that's it for me from the castle here, Port Townsend, Washington. We're actually headed out to do some night investigation and some spirit contact up in this room. And we're going to reach out to people that have passed on that we know tonight. And we're going to try to capture some stuff on camera because we've been getting hit after hit mentioning certain names in the last 24 hours. So tonight, we'll see what happens.
Nice. And are you gonna stick around after we wrap up here? Because I need to hear more about. I need to
Yeah,
hear
yeah, yeah.
more. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. We're signing off. We will see you next week. Stay
Hmm.
tuned. Who knows? Maybe there'll be more stuff coming. I don't know.
All right, gang. That's
Okay,
it. See you
everybody.
in the trees.